tens of thousands of displaced Palestinians were blocked from going home to northern Gaza on Sunday. Many rejected a suggestion by US President Donald Trump for Jordan and Egypt to take in Gazans, either temporarily or permanently. Trump told reporters on Saturday he asked Jordan's King Abdullah during a call to take people from Gaza, describing the war-torn enclave as a demolition site. He added that he was set to speak to Egypt's president on Sunday. Trump said he wanted to get Arab nations to build housing at a different location for Gazans, suggesting, quote, "We just clean out that whole thing." One Hamas official told Reuters Palestinians would reject any such offers, even if they, quote, "appear to have good intentions under the guise of reconstruction." The remark echoes the people's long-standing fears about being driven permanently from their homes. Palestinian analyst Ghassan al-Khatib said he believes Trump is looking to resolve Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's political woes over the war.
I think this dramatic statement from President Trump about transferring Palestinians from Gaza into Jordan and Egypt came in order to try to rescue Netanyahu from sinking in the sands of Gaza. And I don't think that there is a place in reality for such an idea.
Jordan's foreign minister said on Sunday the country was firm in its stance against any displacement of Palestinians from Gaza, and Egypt has expressed a similar stance several times before. In central Gaza, this Palestinian said he completely rejected Trump's proposed solution, while another displaced man slammed it as a futile attempt to drive us away from our Palestinian land. They were among the many northern Gazans who had been stuck at roadblocks trying to get home, while mediators held talks with Hamas and Israel to resolve a dispute over the ceasefire deal. Israel had refused to reopen checkpoints to the north, saying the Palestinian militant group failed to release a hostage on Saturday or hand over a list of details about captives who were alive, while Hamas blamed Israel for the delay, accusing it of stalling. Though later on Sunday, sources told Reuters agreements had been struck over the release of the Israeli woman captive, with reports of progress in the ongoing
Mexico
talks.
refused a request from President Donald Trump's administration to allow a U.S. military aircraft deporting migrants to land in the country, said U.S. and Mexican officials. On Friday, 2 U.S. military flights and a commercial chartered flight transported about 80 migrants each to Guatemala. But the plan to have a C-17 transport aircraft land in Mexico did not move ahead after the country denied permission. The U.S. State Department and the Pentagon did not immediately respond to requests for comment. In a statement on Friday, Mexico's foreign ministry said it had a, quote, "very great relationship with the U.S. and cooperated on issues such as immigration. When it comes to repatriations, we will always accept the arrival of Mexicans to our territory with open arms," it said. A Mexican official did not give a reason for the denial. Trump's administration announced earlier this week it was relaunching the Remain in Mexico program. It forces non-Mexican asylum seekers to wait in Mexico until their U.S. cases are resolved. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said that such a move would require the country receiving the asylum seekers to agree, but that Mexico had not done so. Sheinbaum has expressed openness towards accommodating Mexican nationals who are returned. But the leftist leader also said she does not agree with mass deportations, and that Mexican immigrants are vital to the U.S. economy. U.S.-Mexico relations have come into sharp focus since Trump started his second term, with the declaration of a national emergency along the two nations' shared border. The Pentagon said the U.S. military would provide flights to deport more than 5,000 immigrants, held by U.S. authorities in El Paso, Texas, and San Diego,
South
California.
Korea's prosecutors indicted impeached President Yoon Yeol on Sunday. Yoon's lawyers confirmed that he faces charges of leading an insurrection when he briefly imposed martial law in December. The charges are unprecedented for a South Korean president. If convicted, Yoon could face years in prison. His lawyers criticized the indictment as the worst choice made by prosecutors, while the main opposition party welcomed the decision. Asia's fourth-largest economy has been plunged in political chaos since Yoon's martial law decree on December the 3rd, which sought to ban political and parliamentary activity and control the media.
우리 국민의 자유와 행복을 약탈하고 있는
Separate to his criminal charges, the Constitutional Court is also in the process of determining whether to remove Yoon from office permanently or reinstate him. That's after Yoon was impeached by Parliament in mid-December and suspended from power. At the impeachment trial last week, Yoon and his lawyers argued that he never intended to fully impose martial law, but had only meant the measures as a warning to break a political deadlock. Insurrection is one of the few criminal charges from which a South Korean president does not have immunity. It is punishable by life imprisonment or death, although the country has not executed anyone in decades. A number of top military officials were also indicted for their roles in the alleged insurrection.
So help me God. Congratulations, Mr. Secretary.
Pete Hegseth was sworn in Saturday morning as the next U.S. Defense Secretary, after narrowly securing enough votes for the position.
The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the nomination is confirmed.
The tie-breaking vote was made Friday night by Vice President J.D. Vance, after 3 Republicans joined every Democrat and independent in voting no.
I'm honored to have Pete. I think Pete's going to be a great Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and we're honored to have him.
It was only the second time in history a cabinet nominee needed a tie-break to be confirmed. The 3 Republican senators who voted against Hegseth were Senators Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Mitch McConnell, who was the party's leader in the chamber until this month. In a statement, McConnell said, quote, "Mere desire to be a change agent is not enough to fill these shoes." Hegseth, a former Fox News personality and decorated veteran, is the most divisive candidate to clinch the U.S. military's top job, a position that has historically gone to individuals with deep experience running large organizations and who enjoy broad bipartisan support. His nomination was rocked by a series of accusations, including one this week by his former sister-in-law, who said he abused his second wife to the extent that she hid in a closet and had a cold word with friends if she had to be rescued. Hegseth strongly denied the accusations, and his wife had previously denied any physical abuse. Hegseth will lead 1.3 million active duty service members and the nearly 1 million civilians who work for the U.S. military, which has a nearly $1 trillion annual budget. Rwandan-backed fighters on Sunday closed in on eastern Congo's largest city of Goma, forcing thousands of civilians to flee, and grounding flights from the local airport as government forces battled to stop the rebels from seizing the city. The rapid advances by the M23 rebel movement have raised fears that the fighting could spill over into a regional war. Bintou Keita is the special representative of the Secretary General in the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Roads are blocked and the airport can no longer be used for evacuation or humanitarian efforts. M23 has declared the airspace over Goma closed. In other words, we are trapped. I call on this council to act now to secure the civilian population, humanitarian aid workers, and all United Nations personnel.
So far, 3 UN peacekeepers have been killed, while 7 South African soldiers and 3 from Malawi, serving in a separate Southern African mission, also lost their lives this week, South African and UN authorities said. 3 years into their current insurgency, the rebels, who the United Nations say receive backing from neighboring Rwanda, now control more Congolese territory than ever before. France's United Nations ambassador called for Rwanda to withdraw its troops from Congo territory. The country's permanent representative to the UN, Nicolas de Rivière, spoke on the matter.
We strongly condemn the ongoing offensive led by the M23 with the active support of Rwanda. This offensive is causing major risks for civilians and must be stopped immediately.
Kigali, Rwanda's capital, denies supporting the group. Home to about 1 million people, M23 fighters began moving on the city of Goma earlier this week and have vowed to seize the city. According to a statement by the Office of the UN Humanitarian Coordinator, several 100,000 people had been forced to flee. Congo severed all diplomatic ties with Rwanda amid this week's rebel offensive. A spokesperson for Rwanda's government did not respond to a request for comment.